Good afternoon, Chair Kim and supervisors. My name is Allyson Washburn. I'm a longtime member of the League of Women Voters. I was president of the League in the mid-90s. I am applying for my third term as the League of Women Voters seat on the task force. I've been chair of the task force's Compliance and Amendments Committee for the past 2 years. I've served on it for 3 years. Before that, I was on the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee. I've been very much involved in helping to draft amendments to the ordinance, which we hope to put forward to the voters before long. I've also been active in working with the Ethics Commission to help strengthen their policies for enforcing the ordinance. So those are two efforts that I've been very much involved with that I want to continue working on. I'm also interested in efforts in the future to help city departments better comply with the ordinance, I think, through education. And I was intrigued by the previous speakers' ideas. I think we can come up with many ideas for making it easier for people to comply with the ordinance. I'd like to just take 1 minute here to urge you to not only reappoint me, there's no competition for my seat, so that's an easy one, but I'd like for you to strongly consider reappointing the incumbents, Member Wolf, Bruce Wolf, Susan Manet, Jay Costa, Hanley Chan. As I mentioned, we're involved in some important tasks right now, and having some continuity on this body, some institutional memory is very important. Thank you so much for your time. Have any questions?
Yeah, just a quick question for you. It was brought to my attention, and I guess you're seems to be on the amendments committee, maybe the right person to ask here. You guys, I understand the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force had passed an amendment about your voting requirements. City charter, all of our bodies have to vote, needs a majority of the board or the commission to approve something, and you guys changed it to be a majority of the members present at any given meeting. So I'm just wondering if you could maybe explain that and talk about that a little bit.
I was actually on our rules committee that discussed this at some length, that researched it, and I have to say I certainly remember that we changed that, and I know that we were aware of what's customarily done in the city. We did our research. I believe that I don't have our rationale before me. It would be available in our minutes from the Rules Committee.
I have them. Well, I don't have minutes of the Rules Committee, but I mean, our city charter mandates this, and you guys passed a resolution or amendment for your own rules to change it, the bylaws of this body. So I'm curious. I was just curious, as a voting member of it, why it happened.
Well, the reason why we did this is because we have a large body. We have 11 members, and for a period of time, it was very difficult for us to get a quorum and to keep a quorum. Our meetings tend to run sometimes 6 or 7 hours. We would lose quorum. Or we would barely have quorum, so that we would have maybe 7 members present. And we would have to, virtually everybody would have to vote one way or the other to pass any motion at all. So we felt that we were really hampered, and we also feel that it's our charge to the extent possible, make sure that we protect and further the rights of the member of the public who has come before us. And so members of the public, in a fair hearing, of course, but members of the public were telling us, we have to convince every single person present always to have a finding in our favor. So we did this to address what we felt was a significant problem. We've also changed our bylaws to make sure that we have some sanctions for members who don't attend our meetings frequently. We're trying to deal with that problem as well. Mm-hmm. I think if you'll talk to Mr. Pitts, he'll tell you that I have very good attendance. But
no doubt about that. I'm just, that's a slippery slope, right? If the Board of Supervisors did this, we'd be rightfully scorned, I think. And so I'm curious. Someone brought this to my attention about the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, and so I would ask it of only of people who are on it, why this happened, because I've gotten a lot of comments about it. And if it's a reason because people aren't showing up, that's a different issue. I understand, but that makes it more difficult to get the right amount of people to vote. But that's the rules. That's our city charter. And I understand we have public comment all the time on the board and committee hearings, and absolutely fair hearings are the right way to go. But to vote, you need a majority of that board or commission. Absolutely.
Just in our somewhat defense. We're all volunteers. We give of our time. Supervisors are paid and have staff. Mm-hmm. We have one wonderful staff person. But I want to assure you that we did not do this lightly. We did not change this rule with disregard for what's in place. We did the research, and like I said, I can't reconstruct our reasoning. Perhaps former member Nee can do that, or member Wolf, you could ask them. They could help me out here.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Supervisor Campos, and this is probably not just addressed to you. It's probably addressed to all of the existing.
Thank you very much, and this is not about you. So just a question for the city attorney. Can the Sunshine Task Force do that, make a motion to disregard the charter legally?
Through the chair, no, it's been our position and our advice that they can't, and I think we gave that advice in written advice in 2007.
I mean, what I would say is, and I'm a strong supporter of the Sunshine Task Force and Sunshine in general, and will continue to be. I understand the reasoning behind that, but I just don't think that that's how you address issues of not having a quorum and not having enough people show up to a body like this. I think the way to address that is to make sure that those of us on the Board of Supervisors, Rules Committee, on the Mayor's Office, that we are aware that that's happening, and if people are not showing up, then people need to be replaced. But legally, and in terms of the charter is the constitution of the people of the city and county of San Francisco, and that constitution cannot be set aside by any government body. And so I think it's unfortunate that happened, and it's certainly not how any one of us in city government, legally or ethically, I think, can act. So.
I just say, and again, I asked a question because you came up as the first kind of incumbent. I have a copy of a memo from our city attorney's office advising the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force in 2007 that they couldn't do this, and this was a vote from last year. So this was written advice as well. So that's to follow on. I agree with what Supervisor Campos said. We're not allowed to legally or ethically skirt these laws, and so that was my questioning and why I wanted to understand why the task force did that in the face of this written opinion by our city attorney's office. But thank you for your response.
Thank you, colleagues. And I know that two other incumbents are here, Bruce Wolf and Hanley Channon. Maybe they can address this as well. I just want to chime in. I actually did not know about this, and I agree with my colleagues that I think that if there is a quorum issue with the task force, then we need to talk about the structure of the task force rather than violating the city charter. So if it's the case that we need to reduce the size of the task force, that we need to figure out time limits, that we need to figure out a different type of structure within the ordinance can run so that all members can attend. I completely understand it is an all-volunteer body. You are not paid to be there. I know the items can be very lengthy, but I think that then there needs to be a discussion about how we change how the task force administers their meetings if quorum is an issue rather than violating the city charter. Thank you, Supervisor Farrell, for bringing that up. I forgot to, I did get an email from Suzanne Mena, my apologies, who stated that she would not be able to be here today. Next we have Mark Rummold, who cannot be here today, so next I will call up Chris Highland and then David Pilpel.